You guys, I'm excited today to sit down with Ralph Williams, who is the owner of Pyvot Homes. Over the past year or so, we've watched this neighborhood of Rio Vista just completely explode into something incredible. We've also seen the product that they have is unmatched, and that's why I'm sitting here today, is because when I see somebody that is accelerating or doing something better than me, you got to go on outpaceme.com and figure what's, on the podcast to figure out, let's figure out what's going on here, because you have a vision that is unmatched for most builders that I've seen. The product is different, the way you handle yourself is different, the cleanliness of your builds, I could go on and on and on.
You're too kind.
No,
you're too kind, and no, you're too kind for real. When you say that, though, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like maybe I'm going down the right direction.
You are, absolutely. I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't. And the people that I've had on my podcast in the past have been just absolute game-changing people. I think you're one of those people.
Oh, thank you.
We got to sit down, I don't know, about a year ago, and we were sitting inside of Serve Cafe, wasn't that, maybe not even a year ago, and we're watching what you're unfolding in maps and what the dreams are, and we're all kind of going, if we hit 80% of that, that'll be fantastic. Well, believe it or not, I think we've exceeded that. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's funny because everybody has these dreams and the visions, and you got to, first of all, I'm glad you said something. You said pulled out the map and pulled out what we were doing. Mm-hmm. Part of, I think, what we have to do as successful people is actually write down what our visions are. We have to have visuals. We have to create the vision for ourselves so that we can go towards that. We all have great ideas. I think we all can have some great ideas, but then it's like, how do you make it come alive? And so when you say it's exceeded that, the truth is it has exceeded that. Mm-hmm. As far as what this product looks like. I mean, we worked hard with an architect to really create very unique, different plans that felt different. Like that was really the goal, is when you're at home, I want people to feel different. I want that natural light in. I mean, this house doesn't barely have any, I don't know if it has any lights on right now, maybe it has a couple.
But not that it matters.
It doesn't matter because you turn them off. So, right. But that was the goal, and it was clean lines. It was big windows. It was, the idea was really taking like the big spaces and the volume. And it's interesting that you can put it on paper, and I've done this for a long time, but when it comes to life, like it truly, when you said it's better than I expected.
Have you built a product like this before?
No, I built, as a division manager for a large regional, I was doing about 300 homes a year. Wow. But with my other company, Sales Solve Everything, what I get to do is travel around the country and work with home builders, and so this is kind of a piecemeal of different ideas that I've seen in different places of what works and what people want. And the customers that come in the door, they really can tell you what you should be building. Mm-hmm. The challenge is other builders, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it might be risky to do what they say because it costs a little bit more money, or it's not necessarily the standard modern farmhouse, or it's not typical, and so it's a little out of the runway that way. But the truth is, when you listen to people, that's how this product appeared. It's like, I want 12-foot ceilings, I want clean lines, I want natural light, I want big windows, I want great finishes, and a lot of it, like this could be a room in a $5 million house easily.
Oh, absolutely.
And so part of what today's buyer wants, we believe, is that they don't want 5,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet, and still, but what they don't want to do is they don't want to sacrifice on quality finishes, of a quality built product with the right materials that last a long time. They want product that feels like they're in their 5,000, 6,000 square foot, whatever it is, beautiful home with like Bosch appliances. So there's nothing sacrificed in our home. So that's the thing, is there's no sacrifices. So you truly could walk in a portion, and if you just said, hey, how much would you say this house costs? And they would say it's much more. They would also say, Eric, which is interesting, is I've had lots of people in the industry. I've had over 100 different people from our industry through this house.
Yep.
And this home is 3,400 square feet. Everybody thought it was 4,000, 4,500. I even had somebody say, is this about 5,000 square feet? And the reason is the volume. The reason is the window, so everything feels bigger. But it's so efficient, so it's kind of what those buyers want, is like they want a smaller luxury home, but affordable luxury, right? And so I think it's just a different mindset, is, hey, we're not going to deliver that cookie cutter home that every builder in the marketplace delivers.
Right.
When you walk into a Pyvot home, it feels different. It is different. The quality's different. You feel like you've arrived. And I don't mean it from a snobby standpoint, because that's far from who we are as a culture. It's just what we want to deliver is different. And I could build a lot more of the other homes probably, like easily, and be in a lower price point and match those things. But part of it is we get finally somebody that's building a product that, just because it's 3,000 square feet and is under $1 million, doesn't mean it's just this traditional house. Yeah. It's something different.
So for those that didn't hear what he said earlier, and he's not going to tell you this because he's too humble to do so, is that he's sitting across, like he's tapping the market for figuring out where the pain points are for consumers. Okay, and I would imagine you have hundreds of builders in your repertoire that, like you said, have not only come through your product, but you go see their product in other parts of the country. Right. I've lived all over the place. I've lived from Italy to LA to all over. Yes. And every single area has their own unique way of building. Yeah. And obviously a lot of it has to do with weather and expansion, contraction, and all the things that go along with that. Mm-hmm. But what I've always really kind of been intrigued about is, from 2000 to maybe 2015, we saw this standard inside of Texas building that was the same for every single builder, it felt like. Yeah. And it drove me crazy. It drove me crazy. It still drives me crazy. I'm still selling those houses. Yeah, they all look the same. They look the same. All brick, all brown, all 8-9 foot plates. It just it was crazy. And so I think, you go through, it's interesting how different markets go through different things, and you talk about this. I think a lot of trends used to start in California. I think they still do in some sort. Mm-hmm. But Texas takes on trends, and then they feel like they're a 5 to 7, 8 year run. For example, Old World. If you remember that time period in Texas, it was, everybody wanted a turret. Everybody wanted the brick and the stone and the castle-looking homes. And there was nothing wrong with that. Like, I loved it, and everybody that was in that time period loved it. Sure. But now you look at those, in my opinion, and you go, oh, how do I even fix it? I can't paint that. Like, I don't. So it has to kind of stay in that. And then I think we transition from there, because, you see something like the Chip and Joanna Gaines effect, mm-hmm. and you start going into modern farmhouse, and so you see that trend explode. Mm-hmm. And now what you're seeing, it's funny, because I go to the builder show every year. I speak at the builder show, but what the trends are saying is that, and we've been in modern farmhouse for how long now, you think? Oh, God. Probably started 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and it really got popular 5 or 6, and then everybody's doing these modern farmhouse, right? So that trend is gone. Like, the National Association of Builders, they track all the trends of elevations. That home will probably represent 15 to 20% of homes built versus over 60%. And so that trend is going down, and it's going towards more clean lines. You're kind of going into an evolution, just like Apple and Tesla. Like, things evolve, things get cleaner.
the style changes over time. But what we're trying to find is this equilibrium, and they're really saying, and they really take it kind of from Texas, a lot of places in the country, and calling it like a Texas vernacular, where it's clean lines, you have some stucco, some cleanliness, you don't have the gaudy type of mentality. It's really clean. It feels good. And so that's kind of the trend that they show is going to be the trend moving forward for a long period of time, and it might crisp up. And another, you talk about places in the market. I've lived a lot of places. I get to see a lot of builders. One of the things that I think we've seen is a lot of trends that come out of Utah. So
interesting.
Which is pretty interesting. I think you saw a lot of these new looks, from cabinets to colors, out of the Utah region, mainly in the Salt Lake City, Park City, those valleys, Provo, Orem. Like, you start to see these, and a lot of what we see now, if you look at Pinterest, will be houses that come out of there that are kind of lending to this style. So it's interesting how you see different things.
I love it. I know realtors' feedback on this property, this one in particular, has been extremely positive. The problem with the market, and I'm going to transition to how we get this thing sold, right?
Yeah.
That's our number one concern right now.
Yeah.
Is how do we get this thing sold?
Yeah.
What are some things that you're doing right now to kind of like do some, maybe a little bit different than most builders are doing?
So it's interesting. I do think we're probably in a market that's as tough as it was, not quite as tough as it was in 2008, 9, 10. We're in a choppier market, and there's several reasons. The main reason is the lock-in effect, in my opinion. And so that's why I bring it to here. Is so the lock-in effect really means there are so many people that have mortgages between 3% and 5.5%. Like, that is 65% of all mortgages fall into that range. And only about 10% of that 65 fall in from the 5.5 to like 4 3/4. Then it goes into another 20% that's like 4 3/4 down to like 4. And then so what we're seeing now is everybody wants to move. Here's the interesting stat. Right now, 40% of all home sales in the United States are new homes.
40%?
40%. This is from Zonda research I was just at last week. 40% of all homes sold right now are new homes.
Interesting.
And here's the reason, though. It's pretty simple. And there's another stat that's interesting. Over the last 50 years, what they're saying is 11% of the market at any time that bought a house in the last 5 years wants to move. Okay, 11%. That number is north of 30%. So what's happening is this pent-up demand is happening, and people want to move, but unfortunately, any smart person with a 3% mortgage doesn't want to go to a 6%, 7% mortgage. It's crazy. So they're kind of stuck, and that's why they call it the lock-in effect. So what we're seeing now, which I don't think the trend will change for a while, is I think, we finally have seen rates starting to curve down. The trend is already there. So they've already, for the first time in how many years, they've lowered it now 50 basis points in the last 30 days. They plan on doing another 50 basis points by the end of the year. And next year they're predicting 1 point. So 100 basis points. So we don't know when that point is or what's going to happen. Obviously that can change with world events and market and inflation and economy and job growth. But if that trend continues, how builders are going to be successful and continue to win is they get to buy down rates. So there's a couple things. If I can buy now, like let's say 4 months ago, Eric, you came in and rates were 7%, but you have a 4.5% mortgage. It's going to be difficult for you to make that decision as much as you want to be here. As much as this home is the beautiful home of your dreams, it's still hard to say, I'm willing to pay that much more for the money to be here. So you're kind of stuck. Well, what's happened, because we're down into this, and if I said, hey, I'm going to buy your rate down to 5%, and you're like, well, that's not that much different than my current rate. So I'd make the move. Well, from 7 to 5, builders were having to pay 12 points. So 12 points is basically 12%. So if you think about if you had a $500,000 mortgage, as a builder, to sell my product, I would have to pay $60,000 in discount points to get you a mortgage that's 5%. Well, now we've seen it turn down to near 6%, 6.25, 6 3/8, whatever it is floating right now. It costs me now 6 points. So now on the same thing, instead of costing me 60 grand, it costs me 30 grand or 40 grand, whatever, 30 grand. So now it's within reach of these builders. And so you're going to start to see momentum in the new home spot because builders have the ability to do that. They also have the ability, because there's only so much that a builder or a seller can pay in points. What a builder has advantage wise is they could buy what's called a forward commitment. And a forward commitment means they bought this block of money at a cheaper rate, and that doesn't have to count in that 6%. So even though the rules say, hey, the seller can only contribute 6%, they can put a forward commitment in there that doesn't count towards that and buy that rate down. So that's why new homes will continue to see this trend. And every time you see the rates go down like 1/4 to 1/2 point, you've just unlocked that next level of buyer to there. So what builders are going to do is they're going to start giving 5-year fixed rate, 30-year mortgages. They're going to buy it down to that. When the market goes down another half, they're going to do 4.5. They're going to do 4 until that market starts to pick up and drives momentum. So I think that's kind of what's here to stay for the next year to 2 years, to unlock all these people. People want to move. And if we can help them get there, that's why they're going to do it. The pent-up demand's huge. They just need a vehicle to get there. So we're finally getting there. And that's kind of the advantage that new home sales has right now. So
I'm not disagreeing with you. Unfortunately, I brought my wife over here one day, and she came out of here going, how do we do this?
yeah.
And that's when I realized we're not going to be in the big house with 3 kids forever.
Right.
And even your smallest product, we were like wowed about.
Thank you.
And the small is not small. It doesn't feel small at all. But the point is the efficiency factor is so high, and it's easier to clean, for sure.
Well, there's so many great things, right? Like you like the luxury, but you don't want all the maintenance.
I just don't.
Right.
No.
And so it's that's what I think everybody wants, and they're willing to make a little bit of sacrifice on size if the size feels appropriate. So when you say our smallest product is 2,500 square feet. It feels like 3,000 square feet
Absolutely.
all day long.
100%.
Yeah, and so it's like you don't have to feel like you're sacrificing. That's kind of the point of our product is, hey, we're going to give you all the great stuff that you really want without sacrificing. The space is very efficient. We've just designed it better. It lays out better. We include outdoor living, and all of our homes have somewhere between 250 and 550 square feet of patio that connects via sliding door to the living room or the family room, and so it's a space that we can enclose. So it really becomes part of the space.
Sure.
So
let me ask you this. So us as Texans, we've been isolated from a lot of the ups and downs of the rest of the market has seen in the past.
Yeah.
Recently, we've seen more volatility.
Yep.
I'm going to give you my scenario.
Yep. Let's hear it.
I've been in Aledo, let's say 10 years.
Yep.
And I own my home or close to it.
Yeah.
I'm at that point to where I want to make that change. And when I make that change to go find a smaller home, and I know a lot of you are like that right now.
A lot. Yes.
And you were talking about pent-up demand, and those are the first people I thought of. And I know all my neighbors too. And we're going to get to a point where we want that smaller house. But here's the deal. What we've seen in California, what we've seen in Boston, what we've seen in Seattle, these are all indicators of what could be.
Yeah.
Right? Where's the ceiling? Where's the glass ceiling that keeps breaking in those areas? We haven't been a glass ceiling kind of place for a long, long time.
As far as like the height,
the pricing.
The price points? Okay.
The pricing. So here's my concern is up until recent, we could say we could purchase a house and lease it for what our payments were. We no longer have that ability for the first time in Texas to say we can get a mortgage and lease it for the same amount. Just because that was a security factor. We didn't have to worry about it as much. Now we do. In addition to that, we now have the concern of where's the threshold for affordability inside of Texas. And I think what we've seen recently as agents, especially us at Rethink, we've seen 750, 800 to 1.6 fly off the market.
Like going well.
They sell like hotcakes.
Right.
Unless you're in a planned development that's that's stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, sure.
Which is not this, by the way.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is, where's the comfort factor for these folks that are going to have to make those decisions for seeing equity in the future?
It's interesting because Texas didn't act like all the other parts of the country
Nope.
for a long time. Texas chipped around 2.5%, 3% appreciation per year.
Yep.
Right? You ended up seeing, the most reloads are coming from California, New York, New Jersey, Chicago. Very high pricing, affordabilities out of control. Right now in San Francisco, it takes, the ratios on your loan, banks want to see 28% going towards your payment. Wow. 28% of whatever you're making is really a limit. In San Francisco right now, it's 78% of what you make is going to go towards your house payment. So the only way to survive that is when you bring equity from something you've sold. Now, the good news for here is we're still affordable, but we will, if we could always hit affordability or corrections. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
Right? The challenge, or the good part is, and you talked about, why are we worried as Texans about renting our place? Because that's always a backup plan. Like, hey, if all else fails, at least I could rent it out. The truth is that's just a monetary issue. It's a financial issue. So if I told you could have the same payment and be at 3%, you'd be able to lease your house or 4% and still break even. But at 7%, you can't.
Right.
You're going to lose money, right? So then you're counting on appreciation. Well, markets like California, you've always been upside down. Just so you know, like if you rented a house in California, the mortgage was more than you were renting it for. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the appreciation was 5%, 6%, 7% a year. And so you knew you'd lose $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in rent over a 5-year period, but your house went up $400,000. So the equation is I still made $300,000. I'll suffer with the negative equity until I get to my $400,000 or $500,000 of profit. We've never seen that here in Texas.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of the difference. Now we did see more appreciation in Texas from 2018 through COVID. Like we saw 10%, 15% a year.
Yes.
And that's unsustainable. So what ended up happening is all the people that had money from outside, what we just talked about, California, New Jersey, New York, Chicago, and they're coming here saying, this is a deal. This is a deal, right? This is a deal. So they, I'll just pay cash. And so it raises these prices up. But that also went to the fact that people could also work from home and there was more remote workers. So things have changed over time. I think what you're seeing is growth is still, Dallas and Houston are the two top markets in the U.S. For people coming in. And so you're still going to see that trend. You get different waves. We had a wave that was, we'd see 100,000+ jobs a year coming, or people coming in here. Now we're in the 60,000 jobs range. We really want to get back to the 100,000 jobs. But part of that goes back into the same thing I'm talking about. It's the lock-in effect everywhere else in the country, is they're kind of stuck going, why would I do that and pay a 7%? So it's interesting that, when you talk about bigger than the market, not bigger than the market, interest rates are a big lever for anybody, whether that's the resale market or the new home market. It's just a lever that allows people to move.
So we know that you're you are cutting edge. You are the very start to this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we know what's coming in this area.
Oh yeah.
Give us some idea of what's about to happen.
Well, so I'm a visionary and you have to see it on paper.
Right.
And I have to put it on paper. But when you look at growth corridors and you look at neighborhoods, so when you look, and I work with builders all over, but the master plan communities, if you're at the beginning, you always do really well. So what happens is people are a little bit afraid or they're uncertain and they don't want to be the first. But the first ones, really over time, when you see neighborhoods develop, and especially with multiple phases, with master plan, this one should have over 2,500 rooftops. We're in the first 200.
Wow.
Okay. And so when you look at that, when you see developments go through different phases. So First, there's dirt and it clears. Oh, there's something happening there, right? But then you start, nobody's buying because they're like, well, I don't want to be the first one to do it. And then you start to see a couple homes go up, and then you see more homes go up, and finally somebody buys, and then everybody's like, oh my God, I should buy there, right?
Right.
And so you get certain validity points in a neighborhood. A validity point in a neighborhood is when you see sticks going in the air. The next validity point is when you see actually the models going in. The next validity point is people moving into the neighborhood. Then and all that time, those are the best times to buy, because there's what's called early adopters and late adopters. Well, the early adopters always see the benefit, but they take the risk, right? And because over time, we know this, I'll ask you, like in 5 years, will land be cheaper or more expensive?
More expensive.
Will materials be
More
cheaper
expensive?
or more expensive?
Yeah.
Will trades or labor be cheaper or more expensive?
Right.
More expensive. So I've never seen it not work that way. And you can look at history. That's what occurs. Like, it continues. The more valid something becomes. Now, what's great about this, you probably heard the news, but Blue Jack with Tiger Woods, Andy Mitchell, J.J. Henry, those guys closed on what's called now Blue Jack Ranch, which is abutting and is touching our property here in Rio Vista Phase 1. Those homes will probably end up ranging from, they might have some small golf casitas. I don't know, this is my guess, and from talking to them in general and knowing what the pricing are, you might have some golf villas in the $1.2 million, $1.5 million that's 1,200, 1,500, 1,800 square feet maybe, and you'll have houses in there, homes, that are around the golf course with all the topography that are probably going to be $10 million. So in real estate, you always want to make sure that you're surrounded by higher level areas. And looking at Blue Jack down in Montgomery, you can see the explosion of house prices anywhere around that. You're going to see the same thing here. And so yeah, they want to create a Clear Fork type of mentality. They bought the commercial strip down off of 377 as well. You're seeing a movement from Fort Worth out to the suburbs. You get family creation, and so you start to see people that were millennials that want to come out here because now they're going to have a kid, and guess what? They want to be in Aledo schools. Aledo schools are the best schools. Everybody knows that. They want to get out here. And so you're going to see that migration. You're also seeing the boomers, the Gen Xers getting a little bit older that have the 4,000 square foot, whatever, nice home, luxury home, and they don't need all the space.
Right.
And we're getting a lot of those people that go like, hey, I just want a single story. I don't want to feel like I'm suffering. So we're going to see a lot of trends. We're seeing restaurants coming out here. We have Old Town Aledo. Looks like it was bought up by a group that's going to be putting in boutique hotels. And so what we're going to see over the next 5, 6, 7 years is this town continue to grow, and the money's coming in here. They wouldn't put a multi, I mean, I don't know what is going to end up being $1 billion facility, resort, homes in there if they didn't see the money coming in this direction.
How close is it from where we're sitting right now?
About my driver, a 3-wood, and a pitching wedge.
And that's a measurement that everybody...
And I only drive like 225, 250. So, and my pitching wedge now is probably 100, 105. But no, I mean, we can see the hill of where it's going to be. We can see exactly on the hill where the clubhouse is going to be, and where the roads are going. And the course is already being cut. It's absolutely stunning. I've never seen topography until I get to the hill country area, like I see in this neighborhood. There's nothing around it.
I agree.
It's pretty crazy.
So you've got more than just this house, though, right? Available?
Yeah. So we have this model home, which and we have a single story version of this that people are really gravitating. We've done a couple redraws. Here's another thing with us. Right now, we're willing to do some redraws, some tweaks to a home to make it more personal for you.
Got it.
It's most builders won't even consider doing that.
No, they will not.
Yeah, and we also, our people go through a design center. They get to pick all the colors. That was one of the big things of the pent up demand, is when people were buying homes over the last 5, 6 years, They were basically forced to buy something that they didn't get to pick or didn't want. Builders were building inventory, spec homes, because they couldn't control pricing, and so they didn't want to sell it too early, because if you did, they might be out 50 grand. So they'd wait till the end, pick all the colors, build it, and then somebody would just go, okay, that's the one I want, and there'd be 3-4 people saying, I want it, and if you don't want it, I'll take it. So there's a combination. We have 3 homes complete right now. A 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage, bar, outdoor covered patio, spectacular, beautiful, right across from the park. So you walk into an 8-acre park that backs up to Bear Creek, and on the other side of Bear Creek is the golf course. So that's a pretty special property. That's now 736, and we have incentives going on right now to help you buy down the rate, like we talked about. I'm unleashing those rates for those buyers that felt like they were stuck. They're not stuck with me. I'm giving them a vehicle to get where they need to be. I have 2 other homes that are complete. They're beautiful, a 4-bedroom, 5-bath home, about 3,000 square feet. All these have 12-foot ceilings. All of them have Bosch appliances. All of them have furniture-grade cabinetry. I mean, this is not just on-site. It's actually measured here. Then they go back and build it in a factory. It has factory finish. It's unbelievable. You don't see that until you get to probably the $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million price point. We put them in our homes because they won't have any warranty issues. You won't see the separation, the caulking. You won't have to do that. You won't have to match paint. It's fantastic. We have another home. It's a modern version of this one on the elevation. And it's spectacular. That one, the other one was $888, which is a crazy price for what we have in it. All these first rounds, by the way, is when it's a first round, builders are willing to sell you probably pretty close to making very little money, because all they're trying to do is, remember, the validity of the neighborhood is get people in the neighborhood, and then pricing power starts to occur. So that's why it's another great time to buy. The other one's 3,200 square feet. It has been reduced to $929. I still have the same incentives to buy rates down. It feels like a 4,000 square foot house. One of the cool things on that home, particular home, by the way, when you drive through our neighborhood, you'll probably could validate this. They don't look like any other homes here.
No.
They look a couple notches above, and I'm just proud of what we do, so don't take it back.
Yeah.
It's a good looking home where we do not cheapen out anything. It's done right with the right materials. But that home over there that I was talking about has a window that's the size of a 2-car garage. So it's 8 by 16, and guess what that window looks at? Where the golf course and clubhouse is going to be. Direct views right to where that's going to be. That game room on the second floor has a 12-foot ceiling with a 1-foot pop out. When do you see 2-story homes that have that kind of second floor height in the volume?
Agreed.
You don't see it, right? And the staircase are wide. And then there's another one on the corner that's a mirror image of this, but we have different color scheme that is spectacular. I look at this one, I go, oh my God, that's spectacular. I go on that one, I go, oh my God, it's spectacular. Like, the color scheme's amazing. It's different than this, and it's special. And then I have and that'll be done in 30 days. Then I have another home that we're just put all the windows in. We're going to close in. That should be finished in end of January.
Okay.
It's a more modern version with the slab, kitchen cabinets, the pulls. I mean, if you like, not out of the craziness modern, but if you like really clean lines, like this is clean lines in here already, that's going to be a really special home. And it's about 3,100 square feet with a 400 square foot, 12-foot covered balcony or patio with the sliders, and it's right on that road. So we have most of the home sites on what's Lantern Ridge, and Lantern Ridge is really a street that the next thing over is the park and the golf course. So
yeah, you guys remember whenever COVID was going down and you guys wanted all the sliding glass doors and the windows and all the things that were special. This guy has them all in his build. So if you were wanting those then, now you can get them. And also, just to keep in mind, this is the point. This is the point where people start buying right now.
yeah,
And so you have houses that are available that will not be around for a long time. I can guarantee you that, and I'm trying to make sure that happens.
yeah.
I will sell a couple of your homes.
Oh,
for sure.
you will. Here's the other thing: when rates go down, guess what happens?
Command up.
prices go up, right? So we're in this cool part of the market where people who take advantage of the lower prices,
Yes.
and then the rate changes,
Yes.
and I can buy that rate down anyway. Why would you wait for a year for the rate to get to where it is when I can actually get you to that rate right now, get you in that home,
Preach.
and then you get both sides of the
That's it.
equation. You get the best deals from the builder.
Yeah.
You get no sacrifice in product quality. These homes are built. I'm going to bring up one thing that's pretty interesting. You talk about the quality. I know you've walked our homes, looked at our frame,
videoed your homes
looked
when
at
it
our
was
foam
being built. Yeah.
insulation, our tankless water heaters. I mean, the list goes on and on. But banks consider us a Q2 appraisal home, which means there's like a couple different versions. Q1 is like a one of a kind, never been built before, never going to be built again, expensive, fully customized home. That's a Q1 done right. Q2 is the next level where they're going to build a few of these, but they're built to that quality of construction. And they see our homes as Q2 homes. The other builders in here in around, in general, not necessarily here, but in general, like anytime you buy a home in a neighborhood, it's typically a Q3. It's the next level down. It doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just when they look at this, it's a higher quality home that will last longer, that they see more value in, that's using quality products. So that's what our homes are, our Q2 homes. And you're going to see them here. I invite you to come out. And I don't know, just I know at Rethink, you know, the realtor program that we have is really great too. And I don't know if we want to talk about it, but
Let's go.
I want to educate people on how to really look at things and maybe how to think about things. Because this is the time to buy. Whether you buy my home or someone else's home, it's a great time. This is that curve that happens. But for our realtors, you know, what we're doing is we're doing a really cool product promotion. For them, not only does our buyers get amazing incentives right now that helps buy them the rate down to where they need it to be, our realtors, if they sell one of our homes, you know, we still love our realtors where other builders maybe have pulled out and not paid as much or guaranteed. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. It's all dependent. But with the new laws, we love paying our realtors the 3%. Like that's not change in our thing. But we've added, you know, the Ginsu knife part of it is, you know, not just 3%. We're giving them $5,000 bonus on any of these homes that are on the ground. And not only that, Eric, we're giving them $5,000 bonus on any homes if they're one of the first people. So that'd be 5 people, realtors that sell one of our homes for the next year until the end of 2025. Any home they sell, they will get an additional $5,000 bonus.
Crazy.
I know, but here's, you know, it takes a village, and it takes relationships and people and company. You know, we rely on our business partners, which is the realtor community, our hard work. Jordan is out there, you know, preaching our gospel. And she, you know, she cares deeply about her customers. That's one thing is, you know, we talk about her money. The money's really secondary for her. I mean, she's realized what it is now. But if you ask her, she's kind of Miss Aledo. Everybody knows her. She's a caring person. She's not like a bad sales pro that's, I think there's, you know, here's my take on it. I think there's people that try to sell you something regardless. But there's people that try to help people achieve what they're trying to accomplish, and that's what Jordan does. As with you, like I think I never see you or Jordan think of a dollar sign when they look at people when they come in the door. We look at how do I help this family, and if I can help them, my life will be rewarded somehow anyway. So I'm a big believer in putting out good stuff and getting good stuff back out.
You know, I want to say thank you for doing this, first off. I have watched you from afar for, I don't know, about a year now, maybe a little bit more. And we at Rethink Home have a very select group of folks that we like to attach ourselves to. And when we see something different, when we see passion, when we see the things that you and I both value so much, I want to say first, thanks for the friendship inside of all of this.
It's just, you know, obviously when we met, there was a good connection.
Yeah.
We obviously like the same type of things.
Absolutely.
We have the same type of beliefs, and so yeah, no, it's my pleasure that you would even consider that. So I appreciate that, and it's just glad to be here.
And the standard that you have in Pyvot Homes is greater than most. What are some things that you're super proud about inside of your builds?
I mean, the first of all is when we look at houses, and I get to see homes all over the country with different builders that we work with. But what I'm proud about is our people. That's the first thing. So I think anytime you have any type of good company, if you don't have the right people that believe in your mission and what you do, then it just it's sticks and bricks, and it's a house and it's not a home, right? So it's kind of the way I look at my organization is you have to have great people that believe in your mission, that share the same values, even maybe before you met them. And I think that's really important. And that's how we try to attract those people. If our values, our core values don't match, then we don't hire. We don't have them on the team. So,
You know, in business, I'm constantly going to conferences and they're sharing the different ideas of how people hire. Mm-hmm. How do you find somebody that meets your core value?
So it's from my company perspective, the funny part is they've all come naturally. It's all been a referral. I've only hired, I think, one outside person almost ever.
Wow.
That wasn't referred.
That's amazing.
And so to me, it's like, it's either people I've worked with, it's their track record or their reputation in the industry, and kind of like you, I watch you and you do all the good things. So it's like, I'd want you on my team, or you'd want me, whatever it may be.
Certainly, yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. Is when there's one of those spots, I don't know if it's a law of attraction, if it's a God thing, whatever it is, but something seems to always open up and the right person appears. And I think it's just because if you plant enough seeds out there, there's going to be some dissatisfaction with something that they're maybe currently doing, or maybe they thought the grass was greener, but maybe the values weren't the same. And so I just think when I look to hire, I've been lucky that it's just referral based, that somebody either knows somebody that works with me or the team, and they want to be a part of it.
You know, what's interesting is Jordan Formby, who is somebody that I've been working for years.
Yeah.
Talk about a value.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You got a powerhouse of an individual that knows the community, lives in the community.
It's funny how people evolve and people grow, and people's belief systems can be raised by other people. Where do you want to go to on vacation? You know, and it's what are some of the things you would like to accomplish that you maybe thought weren't possible?
You're uncovering those whys, like how do I get to the why of what I want to do?
Yeah, and so exactly, and well, how do I go to Hawaii and take my family to Hawaii, or how do I do this, or so I just think over time it's a belief system in yourself, and then once you achieve it, it's hard not to ever want to do it again. Like once you achieve a certain number, the mind says I want to go higher. You know, one of our core values at Pyvot was treat our home sites the way we would if our mom, our dad, our relative was moving into it.
Yep.
I'm a big believer in how you do the little things is how you do the big things. And so when you look at our job sites, and you've seen a lot, and I would dare you to compare, and I'll make that challenge out there, and I'm sure somebody will try to prove me wrong, but it's okay. But you're going to see, I think, the cleanest job sites in the industry. That's part of our value system. You're going to see walkways that we pour. Builders don't do that. We do it because we want, like, there's rainy days. We don't want you walking in your home, but it just gives you a clean path where it's safer. We mark and label our areas in paint, like it says you're in the primary suite, you're in this area. Like we label all that stuff, and we care about the trash and the cleanliness. So when we look at our trades, which by the way, our trades that we've had, I had them back when I was a division manager. So these are people I've known for 15, 20 years. They know my values, what I value, and we value clean job sites because it's quality. So if you go in there and there is trash, That's a problem for me.
Oh.
But it's a problem for customers, right? And so if they pay attention to keeping the job site clean and know that we're really expect high expectations, then what you end up getting is every trade cares and they clean up after themselves. They have a better work environment. So not only we actually attract trades by that. I think other builders think, hey, don't say anything about the garbage. If we bark too hard, they'll leave us and go to somewhere else. We have the opposite mindset, is keep the job site so clean that people want to work for us.
Yep.
They want to be in that environment and they know they can go somewhere professional. And it translates to the whole product being built at a higher level where people care.
You know, I have a child with asthma, and one of the things that we noticed when walking through the first time in this property is all of your ducting was completely encapsulated, so no debris, no dust, no nothing was getting into the ducts.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a game changer.
And you know what? It doesn't take much. And I hate to say that.
Yeah.
It just takes caring. Like it doesn't cost me any more to request them, hey, tape them up, let's seal them up. I don't want any dust in there. Like those are small things. But we do that with everything. Like if our foam encapsulation, like everything that we do, the tankless water heaters, we're doing it because those are the products that are going to last for your family. You talk about a decent value. I say they're a tremendous value. And here's why is, we put in the best products and quality. And so we know it lasts. This home in 5 years will look just as good. In 10 years will look just as good.
Love that.
Other homes, you start to see deterioration, you start to see these things. But the good news is we still have the 1 year, 2 year, 10-year warranty. So all of our homes have a 1 year on basically everything, 2 years on all mechanicals, and 10 year on all structural. So it's the highest warranty in the business. And we build it to that level. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know, I would invite all your customers, your team at Rethink and the realtor community and buyers to come out and see what we're doing. It's different. I mean, we even have turf in the backyard here. We have shades on the back patio that you can basically make it a bug-free zone pretty much. I mean, you can't guarantee every bug's not going to get in there, but that becomes a living space.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of the different things you talk about, unique characteristics of our homes. Definitely natural light, big windows.
Yeah.
Definitely style and design, and our architecture I think is second to none. Our architect, all he does is build $2 million to $10 million homes.
Really?
And he's a friend of mine, and so he did me a favor.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful and blessed that he takes those feelings and translates them to a smaller product, at a luxury product. But it's affordable luxury. It's not crazy. But it's definitely going to be a bit more than your production builder, but you're going to get way more value. So, you know, one of the things I talk about is I look at builders all over the country. They're putting in somewhere, in general, about 20 to 30% options. So for example, at a $500,000 house, they put about $100,000 in that model as a normal thing. At a $900,000 house, they're putting about $180,000 to $200,000 in options. So when a buyer looks at it, in this model home, we have $30,000 in options on the inside, 30. So that what it should tell you is you're not going to get nickeled and dimed.
Right.
We already give you the best product.
Right.
We're not showing you something that's out of reach. You know, I was here last Saturday and it was funny because after 2 people showing them around, Eric, they were like, well, is this included? And I'm like, why you keep asking? Well, at the other builder, I end up spending $250,000 in options. So he goes, I'm going to keep asking. And by the second person that going through, I said, I'm going to do a commercial that says, yes, it's included. It's included. It's included. These are included? Yeah. Wood floors in the master bedroom included. And so it's just a different philosophy, a different mindset. And we just do things a little bit different.
You have built on rock. You are the cornerstone. Now we're going to build. Where do we go from here?
My big, hairy, audacious goals.
There it is.
My BHAGs. Look, growth is one thing. Good growth is another thing. Like we're going to grow at a good pace. I can tell you that. I think we'll probably in the next 2 or 3 years probably have 5 or 6 model homes.
Okay.
We'll probably be doing 150 homes in a couple of years. I would say in 5 years it would be nice to be in the 200 home range, but that's not as important to me right now. Like, I think growth comes, opportunities open when you do a great job. So if we do a great job here, other master plan developers will want us in their communities. It's just how it works. I've seen it time and time again, is if they go to a job site, they see you're successful in your sales, they see your product's really great, they know that it would be something they would like in their master plan to elevate everybody else. Our growth will be dictated on how well we do for our customers, how we treat our job sites, how our product looks compared to others, and that growth will occur. And then, so I look at it as really growing organically, unless there was some positions by a builder that they want to sell some positions, and I might consider that. But yeah, that's really my first thing, is really execute well for the customers. You know, there was a guy named Larry Webb. He owned a company called John Lang Homes out of California. And it was about 10, 12 years ago. It was the highest sale of a company ever for a private company. He sold it for $1 billion.
Wow.
They were only doing about 300 homes a year. Here's the secret sauce though. And I got to meet with him at that time, and we talked about how are you so successful? And to me, you know, back then my thought process was, you know, I'm just going to build a lot of specs, and then, you know, people will move into them, and how could they say they had a bad experience, right? Like that's one mentality, because you don't have to go through I think the pregnancy phase of building a home. To me, it's almost like giving birth. Like it's a, you know, a process that takes time, and there's ups and downs, okay? But what he said was, and it stuck with me, and I think that's kind of the philosophy I live with, is I love the build jobs because those people get to spend time with us and see who we are. And he had the reason why he sold his company so high on a price was that he had over 6 referrals from each build job.
As a builder.
6
That's
referrals.
crazy.
So if you bought a home, you would end up giving me 6 referrals to me like that. So they had expansive growth. Now here's what the lesson is too. 2 years later, after they sold it to this outside group who was outside the area, the company was bankrupt.
The culture.
They didn't care about those philosophies. They didn't care about and he started another company. I'm not going to say the company, but he started another company. Guess what? They've had great success. And so that's what I'm looking at our growth, and how we do is, how do I take care of our people so that they take care of you? How do we become the builder of choice, that every time I sell a build job, I have the opportunity to do such a great job at helping them that they would refer their friends and family, and I can get 6 referrals. So I'll do that all day long, and whatever growth path that takes us on is where I want to go.
For all you agents out there, if you didn't catch that, I want you to go back and play that again, because every single customer you should be excited to get in front of, to get the referrals, to help the people that you know, like, and trust. And Ralph, you're doing such an amazing job at that.
Thank you.
That's why I'm sitting here, is how I don't get excited about builds that much, but you make it exciting. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I want to tell you one story about somebody that I worked with that was an amazing realtor.
Yeah.
And this is for you, but for your clients and your listeners, is this client sold new homes, and he sold so many new homes in this big master plan. Okay. And he became a realtor, but you know, just like you're doing right now, you're kind of becoming almost like the Kelly Ranch realtor by providing information to people.
That's it.
And so you're the source that they will go to. This person became the number one, like half of the listings in this 2,000 master plan community were through this guy named Tim. I won't tell you, but it was amazing, like, because he spent all this time and saw it. And so just like you're going to know, if you stay around here, you're going to know the buyers, or these realtors can really make an impact if they participate in what's going on. Because what if you're here for 7 years and you've helped all these people? You don't think that's going to spread to you, and people are going to say, I want to list my house with Eric or your team? Like, it's just going to happen. But you have to think things long term too. You have to know. it's funny, I see people prospect. This is a different topic, but people prospect for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they don't get any results, so they stop doing it and they say it doesn't work.
Right.
You got to keep going. I'm blessed. I have a sales gene in me. It comes from my father. My father still coaches realtors to this day, but he, in his first year in the business, I was a hotel motel kid.
Yeah.
I grew up in a motorhome until I was 10 years old. So we went from hotel motel. He was a rock and roll musician. But the first time we had a home, and the first time that he became a realtor from being a rock and roll singer drummer.
Okay.
And in his first year in the business, he was the #1 agent in the world for Century 21, which was the biggest in the world at the time. And this is when 1978, when interest rates hit 18%. Okay. And let me tell you the reason why I'm telling you this story for your listeners is because what he did is what most people want. Basically, he had a brand new broker. This broker had this company, and he hired my dad, was his first hire. And he told my dad to do what the handbook said, which was basically prospect for 4 hours a day. So from 8 o'clock in the morning till noon, he prospected for sale by owners, expired listings, all the, like, on and on and on. And he did it like a 60-mile radius. It was in a small town called Arlington, Washington, and he reached all the way out to Seattle, Everett, that whole area. But he didn't break that. And he, from every day, 8 to 12. Now, he would get people that he would talk to at 9 a.m. in the morning and said, wow, I really like what you're saying. Come out, I want to talk to you. And he says, I'm booked. I'm booked until noon. I can be there at 1 or at 2, right? Or at 11. Hey, it would be easy for my dad to say, okay, I'm going to come out right now. But he said, no, I'm booked right now, which does what? It shows that your time is valuable. It shows that he's protecting his pipeline. That's how he became the #1 agent in the world, listings and sales. This was not the team days. This is one-on-one. He had like 280 some listings, 269 sales, all by himself. And all it was he protected that time. So I would say whatever today's protecting that time is, to outreach and prospect, will fill your drawers with gold. And don't stop. I would say, it's those that do the extra effort, that put in the extra time, that stay consistent, that really, it pays off forever and ever.
How can you show me that in your line of work for what you've done?
So I think part of my success in life obviously stems from my father and what I was taught.
Sure.
Is, I don't know if you knew this, but the day I turned 19, on my birthday, I got my real estate license back in California, in Yorba Linda, California. Yeah. And I started knocking doors, and I prospected. In my first week, I got 2 listings.
Your first week?
First week.
Good grief, at 19.
It's where you knock, so I had a fake suit.
Yeah.
Not a fake suit, a suit. I had fake glasses. Okay, I looked so young. I had hair, Eric, a full head of curly hair.
Yeah.
And I had these fake glasses on because everybody said I looked too young. You can't do this job. And so at 19, and then I bought this little fancy calculator. It was $1,000.
What?
Back then, calculators were $1,000 that had the little thermal ply paper.
Yeah.
And I'm dating myself now, but I would type in and show them what a payment would be. I really understood finance. I was good with numbers. And I'd type it out and I'd say, well, this is what your payment would be over here. And if we do this, and so I had to almost act like this little whiz kid, right? But I'd tear them off the paper and here's what we're going to do. And boom. I bought my first Mercedes 6 months later. Within like 9 months, I had almost every single bus bench on Yorba Linda Boulevard going down there with Ralph Williams, Century 21 Achievers, Yorba Linda. That. Yeah, so it just goes back to, and then all the people I've worked with over the years, my big thing has been spend time prospecting. Even on new home sales, like I have a class that I teach and it's 851 it's called, and it's, you got to get 8 people in front of you. You make 8 appointments a week, 5 of them show, 1 contract, one contract. And so I teach that religiously. And so I think part of the success is be willing to do the stuff that others don't do and do it over and over and over again. And when you get frustrated, just keep going. I mean, there's been times in this business where I would prospect for 2 months straight and not get anything. And it would have been easy for me to go home.
Yeah.
It would have been easy for me to close up a little bit early, right? But I didn't. And then month 3, 5 sales, 6 sales, 7 sales. Month 4, so then it would start. So it's almost like pushing the flywheel, pushing that merry-go-round, and it's hard to do at the beginning, but once you get going, you can just kind of go like this as long as you're doing the work. But people don't want to do the work. That's the difference, right? So
there's just so much in there.
I'm sorry.
No,
I have so many tangents on life experiences,
No, it's
right?
so good. So far, we've hit customers, we've hit agents, we've hit entrepreneurship. I'm going to stop here because I don't think this will be the last time we sit down together.
No, we got to leave a little bit more, right?
We've got to leave a little bit. I'm staring at.
Can I give you one other fact?
Let's go. I didn't want to call it quits.
As a 10-year-old in my first home,
Yeah.
so I was basically, when you go hotel to motel,
Yeah.
you back then you lived in boys clubs, playing ping pong, pool, foosball.
Yeah.
So first year in Washington State, I was the 10-year-old ping pong champion for all of boys club.
Okay.
I just want to go with a fun fact.
That's so good.
If you remember nothing, just remember, do not play me in ping pong. I still whoop your butt.
That's right. He's got a mean spin. It'll kill you. Man, thank you so much. We look forward to supporting you in any way that you need.
Hey.
Rethink Home is here to also grow in the next year. And we cannot wait to use this as a training ground for being good agents.
Yes.
So thank you for being just an open door for us.
Yep.
For all you customers out there that are thinking about moving to Aledo, you cannot move to Aledo without at least stepping foot into this building. Take a look and just for yourself in person. It's one thing to see it on pictures. You stepping into this is no different than seeing those pictures. It's that good. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Eric.
Take care.